So on this channel, we have reviewed the Onlyfly bird feeding pole, the Onlyfly squirrel baffle. So the natural progression next would be to review the Onlyfly Smart Bird Feeder. So let's get this thing unboxed, filled up, and let's go get some birds. All right, so let's get this thing unboxed. All right, so we have the mounting bracket, and this is going to go either on a wall or a pole or a post or some kind, and this is what's going to hold the feeder up. I love when they include these guide mounts. These guide mounts help when you are drilling into like a post or a wall, but they just kind of give you guides, and that way that you don't mess it up and you know exactly where each of the screws are going to go. We got user manual, got another quick guide and a warranty card. We have the roof, and this one has the solar panel attached to the roof, which I absolutely love. A lot of them come with the solar panels off the side, and it just kind of makes it more difficult for it when you're pointing it away from the feeder. So great feature having the solar panel directly on the roof. We have the perch, and this is going to go on the front of the feeder. This one has a little slots, and this is for a little extra feeding. So it has like a hummingbird feeder on here, and it has a little extra other multi-food options that go on here. So this is the perch. We have a cord for the solar panel. These are little cups that are going to go down in the front of the feeder, and these are where you can put stuff like grape jelly, mealworms, or peanut butter or something like that to attract other bird species to your bird feeder. Then we have some of the different mounting options in here, and they actually include what I love. These are some of my favorite mounting options, and basically these are just hose clamps, mostly used for washers and dryers and stuff like that. But these hose clamps are really nice. They can basically clamp down to very small. So if you have something like a 1-inch feeder pole, they will actually go onto these, and I really like this. I actually use these for a lot of my different bird feeders. Just a little great option here. So a few other options that they include for mounting options. So there is a belt, and basically this will wrap around a tree, a pole, or a post. If you are using something like this, I do recommend sticking with the clamps. I prefer the clamps. They're much more secure and much easier to use. There's also a tripod plate on here. So if you have a tripod, like my camera here is sitting on, you can actually put this on the tripod. And then that way the smart bird feeder can actually sit right on the tripod. You can actually move it around your yard. I've never actually tried this option, but it's actually very cool that they include this option. This is the little hummingbird feeder that goes on here, and this is basically so you can attract hummingbirds to your smart bird feeder as well. It's actually very cool that they have this feature that add. Right now we're in fall, so most, if not all, of the hummingbird species have already migrated away for the year. So we're not actually going to be putting this on, but it is a nice little option that they add in here just to attract different bird species to your smart bird feeder. All right, and finally we have the smart bird feeder itself. So this is where the camera system is. This is kind of the main feeding area where you'll fill the seed. Inside there is a small little antenna. So we're going to go ahead and start putting this thing together. So this is just the antenna that helps the Wi-Fi. So because this camera will be connected to our phone and Wi-Fi so we can see the birds, this is just a little bit of an antenna to extend that Wi-Fi range. This is on here now. We can go ahead and we can attach the roof here. So let's go ahead and attach the roof. And so you might not be able to see it, but there are little slots here on the side, and this actually goes right down into the roof. So if you put the roof on right like this, and you can actually pop these things right down into the top of this feeder here. So let's go ahead. All right. And so that pops on just like that. There's also another little latch back here, and that just holds it securely when it's closed. So now the roof is connected there. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to attach the perch here. To attach the perch, they have a little small screw with a blue knob to match the color of the feeder here. So we're going to go ahead, and this slides right in the front. And then we're going to go ahead and put this screw right on the front and then secure the perch. So this is the feeder here. We're also going to go ahead and there's this little film here. We're going to go ahead and peel that off. Great for shipping, not great for birds or visibility when you're looking out the camera. So this is essentially the camera here. And then the next step is, once we have this all together, we can go ahead and connect this to our Wi-Fi and download the app and be able to connect this to our phone, and that way we can see the birds that come to our bird feeder. So let's go ahead and do that next step. So the first step that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to download the app, and the app for this smart bird feeder is called the Vicohome app. So you can go on to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store and download the Vicohome. One of the options that I always suggest, that I always like, is they include these QR codes. And this allows you to basically scan the QR code, and it will directly take you to whether it's the Google Play Store or an Android, or an Apple phone, and it's going to take you directly to that, to where you can download the app. So let's go ahead and do that exact step. So we're going to take this, and this is the quick start guide, and we're going to go ahead and take our phone and scan that QR code. All right. And then that brings up the Vicohome Smart app, and we're going to go ahead and download the app. Now mine's going to be a little bit different because I actually have another smart feeder that actually goes with the Vicohome app. I just realized that as I was opening this up. So a few of the steps that you're not going to see on my side, just simply because I already have it, is when it takes you to the app, you're going to download the app, and then you're going to create an account. So you're going to need an email to create an account. Once you create an account, it will send you a verification email. Once you verify your email is correct, you're going to be able to start the app, log in, and then you're going to get to this screen, which is going to be the home screen. Now, because mine already has a camera attached to it, I'm not going to have no feeders on there like you might see when you first start the app up. But what you're going to do is you're going to go in here, and we're going to go to the plus sign. Like I said, mine is going to be a little bit different because I already have another smart feeder that uses this same app. So we're going to add a device. You're going to need to enable your Bluetooth. Then we're going to take our smart feeder here, and at the very top of this camera right here, you're going to take this little plastic piece, and you're going to kind of move it off to the side. And there's a little power button up here, and you are going to press that button down, and you're going to hold it. And in just a few seconds, you're going to hear the chime, and that means that's a lot of chime. You're going to see that the smart feeder is now on, and it's going to be ready to be paired. Go into the app, you can check that you heard the sound, and go to the next steps. Once the app starts to search for it, mine actually pulled it right up. So I was able to find this device, and in the next step, it's going to connect to your Wi-Fi. So this is where you're going to enter in your Wi-Fi information. I already have mine in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and click it and connect it. You can hear the chime is still going off. That is such a chime. And it is now connecting to the smart camera. So let's give it a few minutes here, and while it connects to the network, it connects to the device, and then we're going to be able to go from there. And that was succeeded. I'm sure you heard the succeed. All right, so now we have connected to the smart camera on our bird feeder here, and it's going to give you a device name. So we're just going to name it something. I'm going to name this Onlyfly Bird Feeder. Then hit next. This next option, and these are all kind of variable things that you don't necessarily need, but it just kind of gives you a different option. If you have a ton of smart bird feeders or smart cameras, it's very helpful to tell where those items are. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and click garden, select the house, and it's going to be my house. then I'm going to go to next. And now the device is successfully added. So we're going to go ahead and click let's start. And this is just going to walk us through a few things. It's going to ask us if we plug it in, if it's battery power only, or if we're using the solar panel. Because the solar panel is on top and it's very easily accessible, let's go ahead and click on the solar panel. And then you can also enable auto on after charging, and this just means once it's charged, the camera will start up on its own. So the next prompt that you're going to get in the app is it's going to choose your location for your installation. It's just going to walk you through kind of, what's best for motion detection. And it's just going to walk you through a few extra steps and kind of tell you best placement or, best visuals and how high to set the camera. It's also going to tell you about mounting and all that kind of stuff. And once we get through that, you're going to get to where it's going to talk to you about the premium version of the camera system. For an annual package for this, you're going to pay $47.49 a year. These have extra things like extra push notifications, longer recording length for just kind of like your main. What happens is when a bird comes up, it triggers the camera to start recording, and this will give you a little extra recording time and a few other features on here. Advanced smart push. It also has a 60-day cloud storage, so that way you can go back 60 days and see the different birds that have visited your yard. For me, a lot of times on these reviews, I like to keep it in the free versions, just that way a lot of people don't subscribe to the pro versions of stuff. So we're gonna hit no thanks. It is going to give you options and tell you what it does by having the premium version versus the no plan. We're gonna go ahead and say continue without. So once you get through all that, you're going to see your camera up on your app here. And again, because I have another camera on here, you're going to see both cameras. But for this new one, most of the time when you get a new smart bird feeder, the first option that you're going to have is to update the camera. So go ahead and click the firmware update and wait for this to update. This is just going to fix any bugs or anything that was in the system. Stuff, a lot of times when they ship them out, they have new versions that come out, during the time before you get the item. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna update this, and we're gonna go from there. All right. So we finally got the app updated. So now we're good to go on to some of the next steps here. So now that we have this all updated, we can click on here and we can see a live feed of our smart bird feeder. And so if you can see here on my screen, you can kind of see me turning it around. Hi there, how are you? One thing that I do always recommend, especially on smart bird feeders, is this camera right here, and you can see that it tilts. Now, I always recommend to tilt it all the way down, and the reason for this is because a lot of times birds will come up here, they will feed up in this far section, and if you have the camera turned up a little bit, you won't actually be able to see them. You'll just kind of see their back or their tail. So I always recommend turning it all the way down. Now, the one downside with that is for feeders specifically like this. And these feeders that add these other multi-food options, such as the little trays or the hummingbird feeders, you kind of have to make a decision on where you want to focus. Because by pushing this up a little bit, you'll actually get these birds that are on the perch area and feeding on these areas a little bit more. And if you turn it all the way down, you're going to get the birds that come to the feeder more. I always kind of like to do the birds that are up in the feeder more, just because it's kind of like the main area of the feeder. It's kind of where, all the seed goes to, and even like some of the different bigger birds come up in here. So I always recommend tilting this camera all the way down just to make sure that you can get the full bird in the frame. So now that we have this all put together, we have it set up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this thing mounted. So like I said before, I like to use the hose clamps. I'm using a 1-inch feeder pole that we're going to use for this. One of the last things that I want to do just before we get this thing mounted is we're going to plug in the solar panel. So again, I love the fact that the solar panel is on the top of this feeder. There's no extra thing that you have to do. All we have to do is we have to plug this cord in. So right here at the top, you're going to plug one end of this USB-C cord into it, and then the other slot is down here below the antenna. And we're going to go ahead and plug that in right down there. So now that is connected, and this means that this is going to continuously recharge, so we don't have to charge the battery of the smart camera. This is very nice. I love it when it's all compact and it's all in the same thing and there's not actually an extra solar panel. So really +1 on the Onlyfly Smart Bird Feeder, the fact that they have the solar panel on top. Huge deal because I love having the solar panels and not having to charge this thing. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing up and let's get some birds. So as I said before, I'm going to be using these hose clamps that this feeder came with here. These hose clamps are really nice. They can kind of fit on a lot of different things. They actually give you a couple different sizes. I'm going to use the smallest one just because this feeding pole is a little bit smaller. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the mounting plate or the mounting base, and we're going to actually put this on the pole itself. So what I like to do is I like to open these up. Basically, you'll just twist this off and open this up to where it comes apart just like that. And then what I like to do is I like to feed it right through the little openings here on the back side of the mounting plate. And once we get that in, you'll be able to see that this is basically how the mounting plate is going to fit on the pole. And we're just basically going to put it on the pole, put it on the direction that you want it to go. So I'm going to face it this way. As you can see, I have a couple different smart feeders on this pole already. I'm going to face it out this way, just a little bit of different variety. So let's put this on this pole and we're going to get it mounted. All right, so now we have the mounting bracket on the pole itself. So the way that this feeder is going to go on here, it's actually quite simple. On the bottom of this feeder, it's going to slide right into this little circle here. So we're just going to line it up with that circle, and you're going to slide it right back on. And you can kind of feel it just kind of pop into place here. And then the great thing about this, this mounting bracket, you can turn your feeder different directions, and that way if you want it to face a particular direction, you can actually turn the feeder. I'm going to keep it out this way because this is just kind of where some of the best birds come in from this side, also because I have another smart feeder on this side. But we're going to go ahead and do this, and like I said before, I'm going to make sure that this camera is tilted all the way down, and that way I can see the full feeder. Now, like I was telling you earlier, this does have multi-food options, so there are little trays and different things that you can add to the perch. I'm actually not going to do that for this particular feeder right now. I'm very interested in just kind of like getting the birds to the actual bird seed because the hummingbirds are not here, and I have other stuff that will feed mealworms and grape jelly or peanut butter and some of the other things that I would put on the other multi-food options. So we're just going to leave this as is. My scenario is going to be a little bit different than yours. Obviously, as you can see, this kind of feeder is blocking the solar panel a little bit from the top. I am going to be moving this feeder just to kind of get it out of the way. I just wanted to do this so we can kind of show how to get this set up. But now the feeder is set up. We got the feeder all filled, and now we're ready for some birds. So the next step we're going to kind of deal with and talk about the app on the phone. But for now, let's leave this up and let's see if we can get some birds. So let's go over how the app works, going from your phone to your smart bird feeder. So again, to get back into the app, we're going to go to the Vicohome app. And once we open it up, you're going to be able to see your smart bird feeder on the main screen. Now, again, going back, because I have another smart bird feeder that uses the Vicohome app, you're going to see that I have 2 smart bird feeders on here, but we're going to be specifically looking at the Onlyfly bird feeder here. So on the main screen, this is where you're going to see basically a camera view, and typically it updates within an hour. So it's going to give you just a small snapshot of what was there the last time that the camera was triggered, or if a bird shows up to the feeder. So as you can see right now, there's a white-breasted nuthatch that had showed up an hour ago, and it's on the notifications here. Now, several different things that you can see in this area here. So number one, you can see the strength of your Wi-Fi. You can see how well your Wi-Fi is working. So you can be able to know that if you need to move it a little bit closer to your house, and that way that you have a little bit better of a signal. Next, you can also see the battery life. So again, because this is a solar panel, we want to make sure that the solar panel is working. Now, obviously, if you have a few days where you have really cloudy or dark weather, your battery is going to be low. So it does require you to be able to have some sunny days to where it starts to recharge. Luckily, today is a pretty sunny day for me. So within the end of the day, this battery life should go up a little bit, being able to collect the solar from the sun. There's a couple different other options up here. If you look up here in the corner, it says 22 with a little envelope. This is basically just showing you the number of events or triggered times that a bird or squirrel or even a person shows up to your bird feeder. And this means that you can go and you can actually click on that 22, and it actually takes you to the library. So that is one thing that at the bottom, it's another option here, but they also offer on the home screen directly where your camera is. So let's go back to the home here. Another option that we can have, if you look here in the corner, is you can actually have your camera settings right here. And this would be specifically to this camera, and you can change several different things. Again, you can see where your 36% on the battery life is. It says the Wi-Fi strength is medium, should be sufficient to be able to run the smart bird feeder here. And then finally here, you also have the location. So this is where we created the location, and I tell it where this feeder is located. I had just picked a garden, but you can put several different things. So if you have multiple feeders throughout your yard, you can do like a front yard and a backyard. So it just allows you to customize where this specific feeder is. And that way, if someone was looking for the feeder, I'm not sure which one this is, you could look at the location, you can know, okay, that's this particular feeder if you had multiple smart bird feeders. Let's go back again to the home screen, and we're gonna go down here at the bottom. The next option over is birds. And what this essentially is, this is for the pro paid version. And you can see right here an annual payment, or the annual version of this. You would pay $47.49 for the entire year. This basically works out to $396 per cam per month. And then monthly, you can pay $449 just to get the monthly subscription. Now, this includes several different things. So it has a 60-day cloud storage. And what that means is that you can basically go back 60 days and see what has gone to your feeders. Don't quote me on this. I think currently right now it's set up for 7 days. So if I go to the library, you can see here at the top that I can go back several days. And actually I can look here, it's actually 3 days. I can go back 3 days and see the different birds that have shown up to my feeder. Once I'm past that 3 days, it's basically just going to reset, and those will no longer be available. Now, if you do go in and you download those events to your phone, then they will be on your phone. But if you don't do anything with them, they will disappear within the 3-day time if you stay on the free version. So let's go back again here to the birds. There's a couple other things. So intelligent bird notifications, and this is all for the pro version. It also has an embedded bird wiki. It just basically gives you some insights into the species that you see. It also has a collect feature, and a lot of smart bird feeders are doing this, and I really love having that option. And essentially what it is, it's basically like a life list of your smart bird feeder. So you can collect the birds. It's like a trophy, think a video game, where you can collect the birds that come to your bird feeder or your smart bird feeder. And it's just kind of a running tally of the different types of bird species that show up to your feeder. And then finally, the last thing with the pro or paid version is being able to identify birds. And this is basically normal AI bird identification. I always like to say these in these videos when a smart bird feeder has the AI recognition. It is still in its infancy, meaning that the AI versions, and each company has different versions that they use. It is still learning different bird species. So there's no smart bird feeder that I've had or tested out yet that the AI was perfect and identified every single species exactly what it was. Especially in smaller areas where you have overlapping species. So in this area, we have Carolina chickadees, which look extremely close to black-capped chickadees, and there's just very small nuances to be able to identify between them. And most of the time, Carolina chickadees here are identified as black-capped chickadees. And then you kind of have some off-the-wall stuff where I've been filling my feeders, and it identified me as a sharp-shinned hawk. So there's little things like that where the AI is still learning for the identification pieces, and it's going to be a few years where there's enough data to where these identification things are going to be completely spot on all the time. But again, these are just things from the bird option at the bottom of the app, and this is for the paid pro version. So again, these are all paid versions, not part of the free plan. So continuing on at the bottom, again, this is where your library is. This is where we were able to go from the actual camera on the home screen. So there's a couple different ways to get to each section of the app. And again, this is basically just the events. So if something triggered the camera, you can go in, you can see what species it was, you know, the time, basically what happened during that time. And then you can go into, if you click on, let's say this white-breasted nuthatch, and you can see it sitting here blowing in the wind on the feeder. You can also see that I did not fill the feeder, so I definitely need to go and fill this bird feeder. They definitely took to it very quickly. But this is where you can actually download this video. So what we're going to do is in the top right corner here, it says choose, and we're going to check this video that came up. And then you have several different options. So one, you have the option to delete it. Number two, you can share it directly from the app, and that means that you can send it an email or a text, and you can send this video directly to someone else. You can also mark this video or favorite it, and this just basically means that you can go back later. I always tell people I suggest downloading the video itself, and that basically means that it downloads the video to your phone, and then from this area, you can actually send that off. You can upload it to you know, different social media channels. You can send it to a friend, little things like that. But I always recommend downloading it just to make sure that you have this video on your phone. It's not in limbo on the app. If for some reason something happened within the app or the company to where you couldn't get that video back, I just always recommend downloading that video. Then you have it on your phone and you don't have to worry about losing the video. So if we want to go back here, again, this is just basically where all your events are going to be. Anything that triggers that camera is going to show up on that. So if I go over and I go to fill that feeder right now, it'll actually create an event of me going up to the feeder. All right, and then the final option is user, and this is basically where all your settings is going to be. And it's not just the camera settings, it's also going to be the settings for the app. So like device management, and here you can see that I have multiple smart feeders that use this app. So you can go in, if you had more than two, you can go in and you can specifically go to each one of these cameras. The other option that you can do is you can add a friend's device, and this is where you can also send your camera feed to someone else. And what this does is, instead of being able to actually give them your login login for the app, you can actually give them access to the camera, they can access the camera, or you can add a friend's camera, someone that goes through the Vicohome app, and you can share that camera with them so they can actually see the footage themselves. And that's basically it with the app. It is very similar to other smart bird feeders in that it has several different options that you can choose from. It has the events, it has to where you can download each of the videos. You can typically change the location of the feeder, and this is your specific reference point, meaning that if it's in your front yard or backyard, you can specify where that particular smart feeder is. And this is just a cool feature like I was talking about earlier, just being able to know exactly where that feeder is. Overall, I have been extremely pleased with the Onlyfly Smart Bird Feeder. There's several different things that I really like about the Smart Bird Feeder itself. One being the multiple food options. And I know it's one of the things that I did not add to my feeder. It was just something because I have so many different feeding points throughout my yard. It was just something that I did not put up, but it's a very good option to be able to have. The other thing that I really love about this feeder is having them put the solar panel on the roof of the feeder. It's a huge benefit for this feeder. It's something that I wish a lot more companies did. Just being able to have the solar panel directly on the top and not having a whole separate piece that you have to deal with. I've been extremely happy with the feeder. I really want to thank Onlyfly for sending me this feeder to review. Like I said, if you want to check out some of the other Onlyfly videos, I'm gonna leave a link right up here, and this is going to be for the squirrel baffle. And then if you want to check out the link for the Onlyfly pole, I'm going to leave that right here as well. So great company, they make a lot of good products. I'm gonna be using this feeder throughout the winter time. I'm super excited to see like what birds show up to it over the winter and being able to share those on my social media channels. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, get out, enjoy your backyard.